gang, what's up? Welcome back here to another edition of Intuitive Angling, and thanks a lot for making some time to check today's video out. Today we're going to be talking about the full moon in April and what it means to bass anglers, why you need to sort of understand what's going on with that, and I think you guys might find it informational if you're not sure, or if you just don't know much about full moons in April. Real quick, guys, just a couple quick housekeeping tips. Just want to remind everybody of our Solar Bat April sale on my RB2 Signature Series glasses. All during the month of April, 30% off if you order them in the month of April. Plus, you get your name thrown in for a grab bag full of sunglasses if you buy a pair. And so I'll put the Solar Bat link in the description here. So anyway, guys, just getting ready. Tomorrow I'm going to start practicing for the BFL tournament on Saturday at Table Rock. I only get 1 day of practice at this tournament. I've been super busy this week, so I'm going to go down there tomorrow and practice. I'll give you guys an update how it goes. But pertinent to that, here we are, April, full moon, in and around that type of full moon situation, and basically talking a little bit what happens in there. So there is sort of, it's not a myth, but there's sort of a little bit of a misconception amongst bass anglers. If you're like if you've been in bass fishing for a while and you know quite a bit about fishing, you've heard the people talk about the first full moon in April is when all the fish spawn. That's sort of a myth, guys, because there's other variables that have a lot to do with actually when the fish spawn in the month of April. So we're going to get into that a little bit. First of all, if you say you have optimum conditions, say you have normal weather patterns and you got stable water conditions, everything's normal, and your water temperatures are starting to get around that 60-degree mark, depending upon what part of the country you're in. If all of those variables are intact, yeah, there probably will be a pretty big spawn during that first full moon in April. But a lot of times what happens is that there's always some type of a variation in weather patterns. It may be a little bit warmer than average, or cooler than average, or windier than average, or there may be a front come through, or the water may be falling, or the water may be coming up. So there's a lot of things that contribute to that are actually more powerful than the full moon as far as making the fish want to spawn and move up to spawn. So first of all, let's talk a little bit about what activates those fish to get them ready to spawn. The stability of the environment has a lot to do with it as far as getting those fish up to spawn. Now, when I'm talking about stability, it's like if you have like rising or falling water levels, even if it's falling or rising slow, bass have a pretty big hesitancy to want to spawn, because if the water comes up when they're getting ready to spawn or spawning, a lot of times those fish will abandon the nest, and if the water starts dropping, they'll do the same thing. So it's very important to maintain stable water levels. So if a bass senses the water levels rising or falling, even if you're coming up on a full moon in April, that can override that full moon, and they'll just bail out of that. Another thing with that is if you have a cold front roll through, normally by the time April rolls around, temperatures are pretty warm, or warmer, and the night times are warmer. But guys, you can still get a bad cold front coming through in April, and it can get cold. I mean, we've had here in Missouri, we've had freezes in April before. So if you have one of those situations like a front rolls through and it gets cold, you have a hard north wind, that's going to back those fish off. Even if you're on top of that full moon in April, that's going to be a big factor on it too. But the main thing about it is when you get into the full moon in April, aside from the spawning fish, the actual bedding fish, you can guarantee that there's a lot of bass up shallow. I'm going to say that probably, at least 75 or 80% of the bass in almost any lake in the country are the shallowest as they are all year long. Now there'll be some outliers. There'll be some bass that are still in the pre-spawn, and some late spawners, that type of a deal. But for the most part, you're going to have the vast majority of those fish in shallow water, either looking for bedding areas, spawning, or guarding fry after the post spawn. So in terms of what we're talking about with full moon, guys, don't pay that much attention to the full moon as far as the actual spawn. Use that full moon as an indicator in April that you just need to fish shallow, and that's the funnest time of year to fish, man, because that's when the fish they're active, they're aggressive, they're feeding. I don't think there's a better month to bass fish as far as just getting bit as April. I think it's absolutely the best month just to go fishing about anywhere in the country, and that's just it's just a really fun time of year to fish. So anyway, I hope that clears some stuff up, and I'll give you guys the report tomorrow when I get off the water. So we'll talk later.